Hey folks, let's talk about Joe Biden's current job approval numbers. You won't believe where Biden stands compared to Donald Trump's lowest job approval numbers, especially with potential second term on the line. So picture this. Back in July 2020, when COVID and the George Floyd protests were at its peak, Trump's job approval hit rock bottom. Think 41.1% approval and a whopping 56.4% disapproval, according to RealClearPolitics. Ouch. Fast forward to March 2024, and where's Biden's numbers? Well, they're actually 1 point lower than Trump's were in July 2020. Biden's barely scraping by at 40.1% approval, with the same 56.4% disapproval Trump had at his low point in 2020. Also, it's not much better than Trump's post-January 6th Capitol riot numbers, when Trump had a 39.3% job approval. But hold up, let's put this all in context. Trump was dealing with the mother of all pandemics in 2020, plus the biggest racial protests in U.S. history. People were stuck at home, out of work, scared of catching COVID, wondering what the heck was going on in the world and if this was the new normal. Meanwhile, Biden swooped in January 2021 promising a fresh start, getting American lives back to normal, and had the launch of the COVID vaccine on its way. And hey, he also had the majority of the mainstream media on his side. His starting job approval was 55.7% with only 36% disapproval. Seemed like smooth sailing, right? Well, not quite. By August 2021, things took a nosedive. The Afghanistan withdrawal? Total disaster. We're talking 13 military casualties, heartbreaking scenes of Afghans clinging onto planes, tons of weapons and equipment left behind, and the Taliban taking over. Not a good look. The number of Americans disapproving his job performance overtook the number approving his work, and he never recovered. Then came more bad news. In May 2023, there was the Uvalde school shooting that left 21 dead, sky-high inflation at 9.1%, Roe v. Wade overturned. The hits just kept coming. By July 2022, Biden's job approval was in the gutter at 37.1%. Sure, there was a slight rebound to 44.8% in February 2023, but it's been a steady decline since then. And now? Well, Biden's struggling to gain traction on all fronts. Only 40.4% approve of his job on the economy despite low unemployment, inflation going down, the stock market going up, and GDP rising. Only 37.5% approve of his foreign policy as we fund 2 wars in the Ukraine and the Middle East, and there's always the potential economic and military threat from China. Only 35.8% approval on inflation despite inflation going down. Families are still struggling with grocery prices increasing 20% since 2020. Only 38% approval on his approach to crime, despite crime stats showing crime has gone down. People just don't believe it as they watch daily reports of violent crime on the news. Only 32.6% approval on his immigration policy as Biden tried to pass the blame to Trump and the GOP during the State of the Union address, but that has failed to gain any traction with the American public. Only 40% approval on his policy on the Ukraine, as the U.S. has spent $75 billion on funding their war against Russia. Bottom line, Biden might have the numbers on paper, improving the economy, lowering crime, you name it, but just not clicking with the American public. His approval ratings? Right down there with Trump's worst numbers in 2020 and right after January 6th. Definitely not a good sign. Yikes. We are still months away from election night in November, and the momentum can still swing in Biden's favor since Trump is facing numerous legal battles. However, the poll numbers show just how impressed Americans are with Biden's performance as president.